Welcome, everyone. It is July 6th at time of recording. As always, I am joined by my friend, your friend, our friend, Brian.
Ice cream, real scream for Brian.
Yay!
Yay. Uh, Thanks for having me on again, as always. David, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good, just busy. I feel like my brain is short circuiting, trying to, you know, we, someone on my team left, so we're like trying to absorb some of the responsibilities and, a lot of things kind of hitting all at once, just with the timing of everything and how our business works. So trying to, kind of power through a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. You don't want to go too fast and miss something or, just kind of like take your time with it. But that time gets taken and deadlines need to be met and all these things. So yeah, I mean, it's been difficult to say the least. But
Yeah.
still doing all right. What about you?
Yeah, doing okay. I had a pretty nasty sinus infection last week, so weren't really able to record when I wanted to, but yeah, I'm feeling a lot better today. Kind of started off as uh, everyday, allergies that I was having, but it just seemed like it was kind of getting progressively worse for like the last 6 to 8 weeks. Like 2 weeks ago, I had migraines. Then it just seems like I couldn't ever like. Then last week it just, or yeah, I guess like last week, I just never felt like I could really, clear my, nasal cavity of snot really. And then yeah, earlier, or I guess within the last 5 days, I just woke up and yeah, I was hit with, couldn't really breathe. My chest was really tight and more of that snotty feeling. So I went to the doctor and he's like, "Yeah, you got a pretty nasty sinus infection. Like, kind of glad you got here when you did because your lungs aren't sounding that great." But they put me on a steroid, antibiotic, and some cough syrup. I don't. It's like the prescription grade one, not just like over the counter Dayquil or Nyquil. So but finally, yesterday or Saturday, I just really started feeling better. Feel really like a huge nerd getting a sinus infection in summer, but it's just like bariatric change really has just kind of affected me last week, and all the pollen and allergens have just been wreaking havoc on my sinuses. So all in all, feeling a lot better. Was working from home majority of last week. Came in today and found out that one of my coworker in our marketing department quit. Um, so I'm kind of feel maybe the stress or the same things that you kind of got. Just trying to help out where I can and be a good absorb some of their responsibilities if I'm able to help them out, that team out. But yeah, I guess she came back from maternity leave a couple of weeks ago, and her plan was to go check out some daycares, and she'll be back to work full time. But the 4 or 5 that she checked out, she just didn't really like, or I don't really know what the full story is, but just she's working part time now through the beginning of early August, and she's gone. Um, but even losing person to part time, then we don't know when the next person's going to get hired on. So we're it's just like weird transition time for me as well. So kind of strange the last couple of weeks, but it's things we work on and try to be the best person we can be, and best teammate we can be as well. So we're moving forward.
Yeah, ebbs and flows, really. New people come in, people leave. Some of the work that has to be picked up and some processes that change and all that. So, yeah, it sounds like we're doing kind of a similar experience. And I know daycare is just, yeah, kind of what I've heard, very expensive. Um,
Yeah, to say the
and
least.
right. So it's, yeah, tough for, like newer parents or who are working full time to like have that feeling of not being able to see their child as much.
Yeah, especially like you said, new parents. It's a weird feeling after however long. I think it's 3 to 5 months. Most paternity leaves less. They kind of just give up this thing that you birth, right? And you've spent your last all that time, you know, um, tummy time, feeding, overnight feedings, frustration, lack of sleep, all of that. And then you got to trust it for some random professional who you're basically making a mortgage payment to every month, to ensure that your child's safe and taken care of and getting through that. So yeah, there's a lot of feelings and a lot of different decisions that have to be made, from finances to are we going to trust this individual or team of professionals to make sure their child is tended to while we're not there, for an entire workday. So definitely understand that, but I'm also a parent. From out, if you don't have kids, just know that like daycare is not cheap. Rightfully so, right? Like they're basically being a parent, taking care of your kid for 8 up to 8 hours a day, and so those companies, people have to be compensated accordingly, and it's there's definitely a shortage of it, right? Like daycares, at least around here, my area, or fill up really quickly. There's sometimes up to a 2-year wait list. And again, that's just even if it's a match, right? Like places like these open up all the time, but is it? Yeah, there's a lot of questions involved. So
Yeah. Um, no, it's yeah. In terms of just the expenses and even the maternity leave too, and like coming back, it's kind of like that change thinking. But yeah, I mean, it's tough nowadays. It's like you need two people in the house to be working, but
yeah,
um, between like the daycare costs and some of this other stuff, I mean, it's just not like feasible. So I never. We had somebody at work do that recently too. I got back from maternity leave and was like, "Yep, I'm done." So I don't fault them,
yeah,
to get
yeah.
that and then um, make that decision. But I do think it's a tough decision. I mean, it's not a good decision to have to make. But I hope it works out for those people.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I got my so at work. Some of you probably I've talked to, but we've or talked about before. I had my first what they call a discovery meeting for our site redesign with the developers, UX, or we'll call it website designer, and it was pretty long back and forth, about an hour and a half. Just kind of hammering out details. This person was only really given notes from like the salesperson. So, and obviously our expectations changed a little bit over the time that we had met with them back in like April. So, but it was, I've just been kind of stressed about this whole meeting leading up to it, of, like, what do I need? Am I going to be able to point out the right things? But, luckily we have my whole team, leadership kind of in this meeting, so got a lot of input and feel really good about it, coming out of it. And we meet up 2 more times to finalize all the designs, and got to get them some assets, images and content of where we want on certain pages. So work is very busy. Long story short, still developing on our e-commerce page, and project managing this. But I did kind of all this to say that help mitigate my stress. I have begun seeing a new therapist. I think I talked about this last time, more full time. I've gone a little bit into like stress management, more overtly of anger management. Um, you know, because when I get stressed out about this, like my initial turn was to, drink or, do something that wasn't necessarily most constructive. But, now I'm just kind of like not necessarily stressed in a way that's like overwhelming, but and I'm just trying to take those proactive decision making of like, I always fall victim, and I always talk about it, of self-sabotage. Like usually I would take things out that aren't necessarily even a big deal on my wife, and then I would stress eat, and I could listen on 100 things that I do to make it worse for myself. But again, taking these proactive steps of walking every day to get my 10,000 steps, like that helps kind of clear my cortisol levels. Obviously just also a healthy thing in general. There's a lot of benefits to just walking. um, when I get home, I either take like a nap or just something to kind of take transition from coming off a stressful day to making myself more approachable and all those things. So and I'm really happy with this new therapist who I'm seeing. She's sending me a lot of homework to do, very high end journaling. So again, all stuff that I've talked about before, but it's just about being consistent for me and doing all of these things. Another thing I've been kind of doing lately, just because as David maybe have seen, like my basement was completely disgusting, and I've just taken the initiative to kind of clean it out, taking a lot of the stuff to like Salvation Army, throwing out what for sure needs to be thrown out, or something that my wife doesn't know about, and that's making me feel a lot better about my space down here. I don't feel like I'm just like working in like archives of a basement building, or with no light coming in. So all of this to kind of say, it's just I have a healthier mindset of this project that I know it's going to take up until at least November. So
Sorry.
no, good transition. I was just finishing up anyway. So it's kind of where I'm at mentally this week, focusing on that, and not getting too far ahead of myself as far as my mentality.
Yeah. It's kind of like small steps, right? But it's good. It's good to hear the new therapist that you're seeing and trying out some different things, giving you homework. I always feel better with journaling and kind of like a good start and a good end to the day. Thinking about, what I did that day, what I want to do tomorrow, or on to the week, and those things. So it's really good to kind of put pen to paper and, create some of those measurements. But yeah, the small steps, they really kind of make a difference.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
even for, what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks, I've gone for like a run / jog / walk. Last week it was every weekday. And then I didn't do it on the weekend, but I did again this morning. And it was the first time like my legs felt good enough to kind of test my lung capacity or my endurance. So that was kind of cool. Still been sitting feeling all day. Like I have shin splints. And I don't know what the specific archetype of the shin splints that I have, but they typically get better once I stop exercising. And some people say it's compartment syndrome. Not entirely sure. It's not good. I've had it, pretty much all my life, but even still, like my left leg, just still feels like there's a knot in it all day. And I don't have any like feeling like my foot's falling asleep or numbness or tingling or any of that. But it definitely feels like, yeah, I might have been kind of overdoing it a little bit. So yeah, now I have to kind of make that decision. Do I take a step off? Do I take a break? Maybe not go tomorrow. Maybe like try something else to do in the morning, just to kind of get that exercise. But it's kind of all the fun of doing these things, and just the speed bumps and the roadblocks and things that you come to that happen, I guess.
Right.
Like try to figure out and make a decision. And sometimes you make the wrong one, but the difference being that um, before I was doing this, I didn't really have a decision to make about it. So now I have the opportunity to make that decision, which I wouldn't have otherwise had, whether or not it's going to be the right one or the wrong one, or maybe somewhere in the middle. But um, yeah, it's definitely like trying out these different things and figuring out what works for you, what works best for your body, um, is fun. It gives you more stuff to do during the day. Not that I
Yeah,
need more to do, but you know, more and different than what I typically am doing.
yeah. Sometimes it's just something simple. Maybe it's just like a maybe sometimes it could just be a brain break from like work or whatever, trying to figure something else out, take your mind off the main subject and think about something smaller, vice versa. Always kind of helpful. Um, but
Yeah. I think I kind of like the prioritization and, trying to feed in like kind of, small little things to do. Um, even back in high school, I would be playing Call of Duty, but in between matches, I'd be juggling a soccer ball.
yeah,
Um, some people will, in, sorry,
all good.
anytime I have something spicy, it's like my body freaks out and creates a bunch of like, yeah, not great. Anyways, they'd be running in wrestling, and then you'd have like those hand grippers. So
Yeah,
you'd be
yeah.
like running and like doing hand grippers, or even if you're on the couch, I've got a hand gripper next to the couch that I'll just kind of mess around with because it's more, I'm already sitting on the couch not doing anything, but at least it makes me, feel better about not doing something. Um, what I really like to get more into is just stretching in general. I feel like, my range of motion and even running. It's kind of difference of, me playing soccer growing up that you have more dynamic movement. So
Hmm.
now I feel like all the muscles from just going north to south are fine. Um, but like my hips and kind of like my ankles and that like could definitely use some strengthening and some more just, side to side movement or like, cutting right to left or something. Um, so yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'll be just be doing it, experimenting, and figuring it out per usual.
Yeah, it's always so funny, like, uh, kind of on that maybe mobility. I just like randomly scroll Instagram all the time, and sometimes just like random videos where you're like, I didn't even say it out loud, so I don't even know how this video popped up, but all of a sudden it was just like hip mobility. I was like, huh, that sounds like all the symptoms that I'm experiencing. Maybe I should do these exercises. So like I started watching more, and then obviously how the other algorithm takes over is now it's just I feel like all my feed is now is just like chiropractor or like PT exercises of just how to hip mobility and all that. But I've started doing that more at night just because when I wake up, I have the best of intentions to like you know do the Huberman of like going out and getting sunlight for 30 minutes, working out, all this before my coffee. That doesn't happen a lot of the times. I mostly try and do like some of that stuff at night. Obviously not the daylight thing, but or sunlight for vitamin C. But I have been doing more of like hip mobility, strengthening or focusing on strengthening my core because like um, my hips are all completely fucked up. Like the right side of my hip is higher than my left side, so I'm working on kind of exercises to balance that out. Well, my lower back is kind of like arched forward, so I'm also working on that. So um, still it's less of the yoga stuff that I was doing before and kind of more just targeted things. But I mean, I've been doing this stuff for like probably 4 or 5 days, and I already feel a lot better. I have a little bit more mobility. It's not like I can, karate kick somebody or karate kick a can off the top of like a door. Like I'm not not quite there yet, but I don't feel as much like lower back pain. I definitely don't feel sciatica anymore as, as often as I did. So um, yeah, it's just simple little steps like that that make me feel better about where I'm going and kind of my journey um, in the broader sense. But also just I'm taking my health a bit more seriously. Like as I went to the doctor, I also had them do some blood work, and I have some elevated numbers that I'm working on. But I'm kind of just like looking back behind the curtain of Oz, and in this case, it's just my body. So we can um, if we don't have as much data as we can, like we can't make an informed decision. So I'm taking things a lot more seriously than I even on like my like smaller stuff like that, like where I thought I was doing great, and it's like it's just a bit eye opening. So I am down almost 35 pounds now. Like the last 3 weeks, I've lost 6 pounds because I've just been eating less and less, and my deficit has gotten bigger and bigger. So doing things right, but we can always be doing things that better. And I don't want to take on all of this too much, but it's just like little things. And maybe it's like my ADHD, where it's just like if I get an obsession, then I get into that mode. But my low self-esteem has never been as high as it's been in a long time. So um, I feel better about myself each and every day, which is something I haven't been able to say in a long time.
Yeah, that's great. I wish I could get more around into kind of like my self esteem. I guess I really never. I'm always kind of like near the middle. Um, I don't know in terms of the way that like I think about myself, but um, yeah, it's good to hear, and you're seeing kind of like that positive by being present and understanding. How you maybe how you used to talk to yourself, or maybe now it's just better than how it used to be. But it's good insight to have on your self esteem and kind of the path that you're headed. Because you can probably look back and you've had discussion of, oh, I'm down 10 pounds, or now it's 20, and now it's 25, and now 35. So it's good work.
Yeah, I'm looking more at like it's a saying that it's not, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. I'm kind of focusing on. I mean, yeah, I still have. Don't get me wrong. I still have. I think 80. I'll take the exact number. It's right around 80 pounds that I have to lose for my goal, right? But I've also lost 35 pounds. So in one sense, it's like you're looking at. You can look at it as you still have a long road to go, or you can look at it as I've come so far and I've changed a lot of habits. And I'm choosing to focus more on that rather than like the negativity. Like I used to like look at people. Um, like I'll take my wife's cousin for instance. He got into boxing when he was. I think he had just turned 40. He's 46 now, so he's been doing it for 6 years. And I was like, before that, I would look at him and kind of like make fun of him, like, oh, like you're a 40-year-old dude trying to get into boxing. Like, what are you trying to prove? Like I did that. I did that when I was from 13 till I was 23. I was like, but like really what kind of comparison was that other than insecurity and not looking within. So um one, good for him for doing that. Two, it's kind of inspirational for me to get back into it, which is I have a heavy bag now that I'm kind of get back into boxing, which is always a great workout, and it's proven as a antidepressant, just to help clear your head. Sometimes punching something repeatedly, who knew would make you less angry, especially if it's just a bag rather than a person.
Yeah.
So, but I guess why I bring that up is just like, um, he spent his first, not 40 years, or his first 40 years in those not boxing, but like now he is doing it. So we can either look at like the longer scope of he wasn't really doing that, he was just kind of, whatever. I think he was in skateboarding and building cars, but now he's like improved his life. He's learned a self defense. He's got something that's great for exercise, great for his, like all of these benefits. Like you can choose to look at how I used to of just like, oh, he's a 40-year-old schlub trying to like make it in the boxing world or something or whatever, just to like make fun of him. And but no, it's like, you look at it from the progressive standpoint of he's doing something that he enjoys and he spends a lot of time doing it. And, he's improving himself, right? Like that's what life, especially as an adulthood, is kind of all about.
Right. And I think it kind of comes from that mindset and that understanding with doing things for yourself and all the experimentation of things. It leads you to that empathy for other people to, once you understand like how much trial and error goes into something,
Yeah.
and like what that person would have had to try until they got to something that actually clicked for them, that made it so that they could be consistent and led them down to a better path. And yeah, I think that's beautiful. And the same thing too with like how you were talking about, it's not the it's the journey, it's not the destination. And I think too of like, if somebody sets out to walk across the United States, that's kind of the journey. Whereas, if you were just to like drive somewhere and you're like expected to be there, I feel like sometimes that's just the mindset that I get in of, well, I'm just expecting to be there at a certain time. But that's not the case. It's really like focused on your journey, your preparation, and what you have to endure to get to that destination. And you're always setting yourself up to make it so that, like you might have a goal, you might try to get to you might get to your destination, but really about that like change in mindset that you've had that has allowed you to become this person now, that you kind of want to like continue on to. So I think that's the hard part with kind of like trying to give other people advice, or if somebody asks you, well, what did you do? How did you do it? And, it comes back to just how much of our lives and our personal experiences and what we've learned along the way, it's very individualized. So yeah, I mean, it's tough for anyone to truly find something that they can commit to, something that works for them. And that kind of, even when somebody asks you that, it's like they're not really thinking about it. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to explain. It's like, oh, I started out doing this and then that didn't work. And then I tried this and then that wasn't working. So I tweaked that a little bit and added this a few months later. Like, yeah, it's tough. But it's worth it if you can, when is a good time to pivot, when is a good time to push harder, when it's a good time to pull back, and have that patience and that understanding that you're just, continuing to evolve and continuing to grow. And that takes a lot of time. Like you said, someone that 40 years old gets into boxing, and it clicks for them. So, how many other things do they try? When did they get on this journey? When they were 39 or when they were 19,
Yeah.
and how long it took them to get to that point, to even try something different, to try something new. So, yeah. Not to make it seem like it's not possible for anybody, but I truly truly feel and believe. Like some of those steps are learning more about yourself. If you learn more about yourself, then you can give yourself sympathy because you're putting yourself in your own shoes. And you get to that understanding of, why I wasn't able to do this before, why I need to change things now. And it helps you to kind of have that better internal dialogue, um, and have that understanding for yourself, the same that you would give to other people when you don't have as much information about their life, their struggles, their triumphs, and all that. So know thyself. I think that was Socrates from Ted Lasso.
Yeah. I mean, look at the woman who just crossed the Pacific Ocean from California to Hawaii in 43 days. I think she just landed earlier. I think it was late last week. Yeah, she took off like early June and she landed 44 days, which shattered the record by a woman by I think double the time. Like the last time someone did it was 90 days, and then she has to beat the male record by a week, I believe. Like, I
What
mean,
was she doing?
she she sailed, or she was a rowboat. Uh, yeah, it was she rowed like solo row like a rowboat from Central California all the way to Honolulu, Hawaii. So that's like 2,300 miles. Yeah. And it only took her 44 days by herself to row that length. I'm not saying that like everyone has to row from California to Hawaii to really learn themselves, but I mean, she set a goal, or I don't know if she set 44 days as a goal, but she set a goal that she wanted to go from her, I'm assuming her hometown to Hawaii, um, in a rowboat. I mean, she, documented on how she um, turned salt water to fresh water so she'd be able to drink and kind of survive. She's only sleeping a couple hours a night, but, you know, I mean, that's pretty character building. And again, I'm not saying that you have to do all that to extreme, but, I'm sure I haven't really read the pre-story to it, but I'm sure she practiced, and, if she was determined to do that, good for her, and she accomplished her goal. Maybe it was through a lot of trial and error. Again, I don't know, but um, a pretty inspirational story, and we don't all have to have that length of a feat. It could just be something as simple as you know drinking less pop, right? Like that could be your 2,300-mile journey. You can start with if you drink 4 sodas a day, maybe switch to like zero sugar diet, and then slowly maybe drink 3. Again, this is just an example. um I'm sure listeners and David don't agree to switch to zero sugar. That's fine. I'm just using it as an example. But and then maybe you switch to carbonated water, like LaCroix, and then you just slowly transition to water or something else, right? Like trial and error, you figure it out, but you have to set a goal for yourself, and you roll that 2,300 miles. Damn you!
Yeah, ship's actually pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how she, managed to pack enough food and water. Like that whole ship's got to be just like food and water.
Right? Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, she probably started out like, I don't know how old she is or not, but um, yeah, maybe it was some hobby or something that she did. But I mean, everyone starts somewhere, so she had to have started somewhere. I don't know if I would ever get around to thinking that, like, no matter what I was doing, I wouldn't think that would be something that I could accomplish.
Right.
But yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, at some point in human history, somebody said, "I'm going to turn that egg into something delicious and then made an omelet. You know, you wouldn't have thinking like, I guess you never really know what you're going to get until you try. You know, and who knows, maybe that person ate that raw egg first, you know, and they're like, this is gross. And then they're like, I wonder if I heat it up, I wonder what will happen. Or if I freeze it, you know, whatever. I don't know. Fucking the first caveman probably did that. You really never know what your journey is going to be until you start, you know. Again, going from using my wife's cousin as an example, obviously he hired a trainer. You know, I don't know what piqued his interest. I know that he has Crohn's disease, so you know, probably had to get some sort of high intensity workout to help maybe relieve his symptoms. And you know, boxing was always a great thing to sport always advocate for. You know, you can go to any kickboxing club, and you know, it's always a great circuit workout. You know, and you learn a little bit how to defend yourself in some ways. And then, you know, it's easy way to learn a form and just hone your craft. You know, again, it could also be rowing, and you know, you start in like a simulator, and or maybe you're on like a row team in high school and college. Maybe your goal is to go to the Olympics. Maybe it's to go from California to Hawaii. Who knows? But you got to start somewhere. Um, you got to learn yourself through the process. Or you are going to learn yourself through the process, and you know, you're going to find out what you are and aren't capable of. You know, again, maybe it's something as simple as changing some of your dietary habits, and you know, again, using as an extreme, going across the entire length of the Pacific Ocean, you know, to find yourself and what you are capable of. So start small and then go big.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're always thinking small too, no matter what.
Yeah, to be clear, yes, I think so too.
You start small, and when's the next step? Oh, it's a small step.
Right.
But you have the patience, you have the persistence, you have the confidence to, whether it's the same thing that you were doing or something else, you know. You switch over, something's not working. Okay, we'll start small again. So even if you're going to take a small step in the wrong direction, but you're going to take a small step in what's hopefully the right direction. But yeah, just always thinking small, and then where you start, next step, small, transition, small, like, yeah, just really once you start doing something, you kind of understand and realize how hard it is. And that's, I think, another good lesson for, you know, I'm not going out and I'm not running 3 miles. Like I'm not doing that.
Right. Right.
I'll run half a mile maybe, or, you know, whatever you are in your capacity to do. But yeah, you talk to yourself like a friend would talk to you. And you set your goals like how you would, like, you know, being friendly to yourself, to your body, to what you want to accomplish. And then, you know, you go from there once you get better at it. Because yeah, I mean, even boxing, it's something that he was able to keep up with for so long. But probably remembers when he, you know, just showed up one day. It was kind of awkward, and he didn't really know what he was doing. And where he's at today is probably massively different. I mean, you see the videos online all the time about bodily transformations, or you know, whatever transformation. It kind of gives you the idea of like, yeah, I mean, these pictures are, you know, or these videos like 3 or 4 years ago. You're like, oh, okay. And just gives you an understanding of how long something takes, but a little bit in the right direction compounds just so large into the future. That's really where it becomes having to be patient and doing these things. So, but I think that's pretty much all for me. I gotta give Daphne a walk. She's gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I think I hit all my topics that I wanted to today.
Alrighty. Well, thanks everyone for listening. If you've gotten this far, thank you, Brian, for sharing your stories.
Yeah, thanks, David. Appreciate it. Thank you for sharing yours, and we'll talk to you next week. And thanks for listening, everyone.